And welcome, listeners, to this episode of Somewhat Supernatural. I am your host with the ghost, the prince of the paranormal, the duke of the dead, the dean of the deceased, the ghost daddy himself, the one and only Lord Scubacabra. And today, we're going to embark on an immersive journey into the depths of Islamic eschatology to unravel the enigma of the Dajjal. The Dajjal is often referred to as the false Messiah or the Antichrist. Holds a significant place in Islamic tradition with roots deeply embedded in Hadith literature and Islamic teachings. Join me tonight because we're going to delve into the intricate details of the Dajjal's narrative, exploring its historical context, textual references, and modern day interpretations. Now, you may be saying, well, Lord Scubacabra, isn't that just the Antichrist? So this figure does sure sound a lot like the Antichrist, but for the most part, you are correct. There are some similarities, but there are some differences as well. So the reason I want to cover this topic tonight is I was on TikTok and I saw this TikTok about this entity or whatever you call it, known as the Dajjal, which is the Islamic Antichrist. Pretty much is what he is. He's not the Christian Antichrist, but he has a lot of differences. But there are also a lot of similarities as well between the two. So I thought, I haven't done an episode of Somewhat Supernatural in a while. So I wanted to jump on, and I literally say that every episode. I was listening to the last episodes, and I'm like, I haven't done an episode in a while. And I told myself I wasn't going to say it this episode. And look, lo and behold, I said it. So the similarities and differences between the Christian Antichrist and the Dajjal, or the false Messiah, offer intriguing insights to the eschatological beliefs of both traditions. So here's an analysis of their similarities and their differences. So first off, we're going to talk about their similarities. So they both have a deceptive nature. Both the Antichrist in Christian theology and the Dajjal in Islamic eschatology are characterized by their deceitful nature. They are depicted as figures who deceive humanity with false promises and miracles. They both have roles in the end times. So both figures are associated with the end times and are believed to play significant roles in the eschatological events leading to the final judgment. They are both symbolisms of evil. Both the Antichrist and the Dajjal symbolize the epitome of evil and represent the forces of darkness and corruption that challenge the divine order. They both test the faith of their believers or followers of Christ or Allah. Excuse me. Sorry about that. So believers in both traditions are warned about the Antichrist and the Dajjal as a test of their faith. They're encouraged to remain steadfast and vigilant against deception. So we will talk about that a little bit further down. Talk a little bit more about the deception and what's to come when this Dajjal entity decides to make itself known, if it hasn't already made itself known. Like I said, TikTok is out there. Whether you believe the stuff that's on TikTok or not, there's a lot of stuff out there. It's up to you to decide what's bullshit and what's not bullshit. They also both have appearance of miracles. Both figures are believed to possess supernatural powers and perform miracles to deceive people. The main difference is it's the religious context. For one, the Antichrist is primarily a figure in Christian theology, specifically within the context of Christian eschatology, while the Dajjal is a figure in Islamic eschatology deeply rooted in Hadith literature and Islamic teachings. One is a savior figure. In Christianity, the Antichrist is often seen as the adversary of Jesus Christ, while in Islam, the Dajjal is not directly opposed to Jesus or Isa, who is revered as a prophet and savior. The physical attributes on both are way different. The descriptions of the Antichrist and the Dajjal differ in some aspects. While both are associated with deception and have negative connotations, their physical descriptions vary across traditions. Cultural interpretations. The interpretations and significance of the Antichrist and the Dajjal may vary across different cultural and theological contexts within Christianity and Islam. And then finally, the theological emphasis. While both figures serve as eschatological symbols of evil, the emphasis on their significance and interpretations may differ within their respective theological frameworks. So, in summary, while the Antichrist and Dajjal share certain similarities in their roles as deceptive figures associated with the end times, they also exhibit differences in their religious context, interpretations, and theological significance within Christianity and Islam. Hey, Jaden, how's it going, man? So, I like I said, I saw this on TikTok and I wanted to dig a little deeper because it intrigued me. They always say we're in the end times, we're in the end times, but in whose end times? Everybody's a different religion. There's believers, there's non-believers of Christianity, of Islam, of Buddhism. There's so many different religions on earth and they all have an end of days. So this just intrigued me because what if this end of days happens before, the Christian end of days that we know? How's it going, cuz? My cousin Beatrice in the chat. How's it going? Let's see. So it intrigued me to think that another culture, another religion has a similar antichristal entity in their books, in their texts, in their religious texts. So the Dajjal's origins can be traced back to ancient Islamic texts and oral tradition, where he is depicted as a malevolent figure who will emerge in the end of times. Descriptions of the Dajjal's physical appearance include his one-eyed visage and the inscription of kafir, which means disbeliever, on his forehead. So, in listening to different religious texts online about the Dajjal, only his followers will see the inscription between his brow. Normal, regular, everyday people will not see it. You will only see the mark across his forehead if you are a believer of his. Scholars have interpreted these descriptions symbolically, with the one eye representing spiritual blindness, and the forehead inscription symbolizing his rejection of faith. What do you make of these vivid descriptions? They evoke a sense of foreboding, curiosity. For me, they do. So, the Dajjal, like I said, the Dajjal's origins can be traced back to ancient Islamic texts, and also told by word of mouth as well. He's got one eye. So the images that I've seen of him, he has one eye that is shut, whether it is bruised up or he's missing an eye. He is blinded on one side, and then the other eye, while he can see through the other eye, it is defective as well. And like I said, he has the forehead bearing the inscription kafir, which means disbeliever. So it's very, very, it's a very interesting thing that they believe in. So the whole point of the forehead inscription, it represents rejection of faith and propagation of falsehood. So that is basically essentially the mark of the beast on the beast. How's it going, Kaylee? How's it going, Jacob? So throughout history, various interpretations and depictions of the Dajjal have emerged, shaping beliefs and practices within Muslim communities. From classic Islamic literature to contemporary scholarship, the narrative of the Dajjal continues to captivate believers and scholars alike. Some scholars have even drawn parallels between the Dajjal and other figures of deception in religious and mythological traditions. So, how do you think these interpretations have evolved over time? And what significance do you think they have in the world today? So, back then, when these texts were being written, they said that one of the things was that he would arrive on a donkey that had extremely long ears that were, I don't remember how long they said, but in like I said, in listening to some religious people talk about the Dajjal, they were saying that what you can, what it symbolizes nowadays is he's not gonna arrive on a donkey with big ears. It more or less so describes an airplane in our day, because that donkey can fly. It's a flying donkey with really long ears. Well, what can fly? An airplane. It's got wings that could say, hey, you know what, honey, that doesn't, my honey here says she used to have a donkey. I believe you. I believe you. You also had ducks that drowned. So in classic Islamic literature, there's detailed accounts of the Dajjal's actions and characteristics. It's emphasized the importance of recognizing signs of his emergence. In contemporary scholarship, it explores symbolic and metaphorical interpretations rather than saying, hey, this is what he is, this is what he does. It's more of an interpretation. And it also considers societal and geopolitical context in understanding the Dajjal's role. The Dajjal's emergence in Islamic eschatology is often seen as a sign of the impending day of judgment, a period of cosmic reckoning and the ultimate justice. But how do you interpret symbolism of the Dajjal in relation to like broader theological themes such as divine mercy and human free will? So I am not a religious person. Do I believe in supernatural things? 100%. So while I am not a religious person, I do believe certain aspects of the Bible and other various religions. Um, so I feel like it's all up to us. We are the ones either holding back or ushering in the end of days. So it's just, I don't know. It's crazy to think about. It's not something that everybody thinks about every day, because you would pretty much drive yourself crazy. But you cannot deny that the state that the world is in right now, it kind of feels like we're living in the last days. So Melody says, we are the ones who give religion power. And I agree with that 100%, because it's faith. Religion is faith. You have to believe in something. And I think that is in our human nature, is that we want to believe in a higher power, whether there is a higher power out there or not, whether it's an evil or a good. It We want to believe. We want to believe that we're here for some other purpose than whatever it is we're doing now. Because if you look at it now, look at how tiny we are in comparison to the universe. We're nothing. We're specks of dust in a vast, you know, it just, it's mind boggling to think that we are the only life in the universe, and we created these religions that just completely tear us apart. I had to drink some water, excuse me. So the theological significance, it's the end of time prophecies. It marks the culmination of human history and the beginning of the day of judgment. It tests your faith and the resolve of believers in the face of deception and tribulation. Then there's also divine justice. It symbolizes the ultimate triumph of righteousness over falsehood. It highlights the consequences of spiritual corruption and moral decay. So we talk a lot about, I mean, all of us that are Catholic, Christian, Baptist, you name it, we all know of the Antichrist. We all know that the Antichrist will come and he's going to deceive the world. And it sounds a lot like this Dajjal character, with a lot of differences. Like I said, there are multiple differences. But that TikTok video that I watched, and I wish I could play it on here, but I don't want to get this taken down. It kind of freaked me out a little bit, because and I don't want to dive into the other religion that it's talking about. But just know that they wear little hats on their head. That's all I'm saying. But that video that I watched was saying that those people with little tiny hats were trying to basically get the Dajjal to make himself known, or to raise the Dajjal. And they did talk about some things that we're going to talk about down here in a bit. But I don't know, man. There's just so many things that happen in the real world that make absolutely no sense at all. So you don't have to believe that there's these group of people that are trying to do this. You don't have to believe in Bohemian Grove. You don't have to believe in Area 51. That's your choice. It's your right as a human being, whether you want to believe those things or not. I myself, I choose to believe, because in a world where none of that exists, what are we here for? Why are we here? Like, we're here to question. That's why we're here. We're here to question all things. So that's why I wanted to touch base on the Dajjal, because it's something I had never heard of before. I had no idea that there was any other version of a world deceiver like the Christian Antichrist that we know. Excuse me, I'm going to take a sip of water right now. Okay, that was more than a sip. That was like a big chug, but I'm thirsty, man. So there are texted media depicting the Dajjal. There are a few movies that I found online. Let me see. And I don't know if they're documentaries. Let me see. So there is a movie called Dajjal, The Slayer and His Followers. It came out in 2018. So I'm just giving you guys some of the newer stuff. I don't know if the evil eye comes from him, but in one of the drawings that I saw, it does look like they are representing that it's kind of a similar thing, but it didn't strictly say that he's the one who created the evil eye or that anything like that. There is another one called Dajjal, which is a short film and came out in 2020. And then there is yep, that's it. It's just those two. But you can look up the Dajjal on YouTube, and there you can hear religious entities speak on, on the Dajjal. So Hadith literature serves as the primary source of information about the Dajjal, when collections such as the Sahih Bukhari and the Sahih Muslim, containing detailed accounts of his characteristics and actions. These hadiths provide a roadmap for believers to recognize the signs of the Dajjal's emergence and to protect themselves from his deception. So beyond textual sources, the Dajjal's narrative has permeated various forms of media, from oral tradition to Islamic literature and commentary. So how do you think these different mediums contribute to shaping our understanding of the Dajjal's significance? So I feel like word of mouth is something that just gets so misconstrued. We played that game. I don't remember the name of it, but you would start off by saying one thing. By the time it got to the end of the circle, just completely not what you said. So, you never know. This is from ancient texts. So who knows how many times it's been changed, how many people have changed it. So there are detailed descriptions. So the account of the Dajjal's appearance, actions, and miracles. That's another thing. He is going to create miracles. His guidance on recognizing and resisting his deception. There are prophetic warnings, and it emphasizes the importance of remaining steadfast in faith and encourages believers to seek refuge in God's protection. Now, we are talking about Islam, so we're talking about the Islamic God. As we explore the Dajjal's narrative further, it's essential to consider the historical context and societal implications of his emergence. Some interpretations suggest that certain groups or individuals may inadvertently contribute to the conditions conducive to his appearance. Societal factors such as morale, moral decay, political corruption, and economic instability are often cited as signs of the Dajjal's imminent arrival. Look at our world. Look at our world right now. Look at the moral decay. Get on TikTok. Look at the moral decay. Look at the political corruption. It's everywhere. Everywhere. It's in the news. It's all over Facebook. It's all over TikTok. It's everywhere. Economic instability. Our prices are about to go up. Everything's about to go up because of what just occurred with that bridge collapse. Guarantee it. So, is it the end of days? I mean, how do you think these societal factors influence our perception of apocalyptic prophecies? And hell, not even just the Dajjal's role, but the Christian Antichrist. There's just, I mean, moral decay, political unrest, like this just, it's everywhere. It's everywhere. And that sucks. Because I have children that I brought into this world that I wanted them to live a great life. And they still can. They still can. Because with darkness, there's always light, right? A little quote I posted earlier. So it's scary to think about, but there's also always a light of hope at the end of the tunnel. And there was another thing that I heard that said when the Dajjal arrives, he will be in control for 40 days. Or he's going to make it rain for 40 days or something like that. But that first day is going to be a year. That first day of the Dajjal being here will last 365 days. I don't know how that makes sense, but this is what they were saying. That first day will last 365 days. That second day will be a month. That third day will be a week. And then after that, it goes back to it being a day. And so within all that time that occurs, that's when the Dajjal will have ultimate power and everything will start to happen. And whether you believe in him or not, things are going to happen. There was also one of the miracles that they said he would, he's able to bring people back from the dead. That will be one of the things that he does is he will be able to create miracles. He will be able to raise the dead. And in one of the texts, it read that he would be questioned. And what would occur is he would cut the man in half. And after cutting the man in half, after the man did not believe that he was who he said he was, he cut the man in half in a crowd of people. In a crowd of people, he cut the man in half and then put the man back together. And then the man believed him. The man believed that he had power, that he was God. I put that in quotation marks. So he's going to be an entity that just comes to this world and completely takes over by being this charismatic being. Now, the way he looks, though, he's supposed to have this neck that is wider than a human neck. He's supposed to be ugly, and he's only got one eye that works, and the other one's glazed over so he can barely see from it. He's going to have a tattoo on his forehead, and, his body's going to be grotesque as well, but we're not going to see that. Only his followers will see that. Only the people that follow him are going to see that, or so they say. I don't know. It's what I heard in the text or in the videos that I was watching earlier. So once you believe in him, you see his true self and his true nature. But at that point, it's too late. And also, there was going to be a choice that you have to make. And that choice was either jump in his fire or jump in his water. And he will have a river of fire and a river of water that he takes with him everywhere he goes. How he does that, I have no idea. And I was trying to think of ways that maybe it's technology, it's technology based, and the symbolism is there. But I couldn't think of anything that would be a river of fire or a river of water. Now, as a human being, of course, we're gonna jump into that river of water, right? Because hell, I can swim. I'm gonna jump in a river of water. But here's the thing: that river of water is going to burn you. That river of fire will not burn you. Somehow, some way, he swaps them. Not physically, visually. So when you see that river of water, and you jump into it, you're going to burn. You're going to burn because that's his deception. When you see that river of fire and you jump into it, guess what? Nothing's going to happen to you. But as human beings, I don't want to jump in a damn river of fire. Whether I know it's going to hurt or not, it's still scary. It's still scary, right? But that is one of the choices that you will have to make if this entity is the one that brings the end of the world for everyone. Which is hard for me to believe because, like I said, not everybody believes in this religion. So it's hard to, just like I'm sure it's hard for Muslims to believe in the Christian Antichrist, but it's all gotta come from the same place eventually if you trace it back far enough. All religion has the same origin. What is that origin? Hell, I don't know. I have no idea. Shout out to Anthony from 50 States of Terror in the house. How's it going, buddy? So there have been attempts to raise the Dajjal. Not documented, though. So it says, while there are no documented instances of individuals attempting to physically raise the Dajjal, some interpretations warn against the dangers of societal corruption and moral decay, which are believed to pave the way for his emergence. That's not what I heard. So in the video I was watching, like I said, there are a group of people that are actively looking for a way to raise the Dajjal. And in their religion, what they're doing has a completely different meaning. But in the Islamic texts, it's there and it's the same ritual. It's the same exact ritual, except for one religion, it's a purification ritual. But for the other religion, it's the end of the world. How? Mind-boggling. And I wish I would have looked at it from the other aspect, but I was so into this side of the story that the other side I didn't want to hear about cleansing this and that, and we have this that we're going to do, and this temple. I didn't want to hear about that. I wanted to hear about this guy because this guy's interesting. This is the guy that's going to bring the end of the world, supposedly. So the prevalence of false prophets and charismatic leaders throughout history has led some believers to speculate about the potential for the rise of the Dajjal in modern times. So, could he be here already? Is he here already? What they say is that he will be between the ages of 12 and 25. It'll be somebody between the ages of 12 and 25 that is the Dajjal. He will have human parents. He will come from human parents. He's not born of the devil, and that's another main difference from the Christian Antichrist. Is the Antichrist is the son of the devil. Hold on, give me just a moment. I am giving away some stuff right now to some old stuff of Charlie's, and the person that is gonna pick it up is here. Okay, they already took it. Shout out to Lulu for picking up that stuff. So yeah, it does all come from Sumeria for the most part. But here's the thing, Anthony. What's older than that? We don't know. This isn't the first cycle of the Earth. There's other shit that exists way before that. How's it going? So the narrative of the Dajjal also intersects with various religious symbols and prophecies, including the significance of the red heifer in Islamic eschatology. But that is also, and I'm not going to say what the other religion is. You can guess what it is. You can look it up. Look it up. They're looking for a red heifer to sacrifice. They wear little tiny hats. I'm not going to say it because if I say it, I'm going to get canceled. And I don't want to get canceled. I like my show. So the red heifer holds a special significance in Islamic eschatology, with interpretations linking its appearance to the eventual emergence of the Dajjal and the onset of major apocalyptic events. Some hadiths mention that the red heifer as a precursor to the Dajjal's arrival, serving as a sign of the impending end times. But how do you interpret the symbolism of the red heifer? Is it an actual red heifer? Like, but what role do you think it plays in the broader context of the apocalyptic event? So is it a blood sacrifice? Is that what it is? Because I know, like I said, the other religion sees it as a cleansing. So what are they trying to cleanse? Are they trying to cleanse those that aren't their religion? Is that what sets the Dajjal free? Like I said, there's interfaith connections. It's mentioned in both Islamic and Jewish traditions. And it symbolizes purification and atonement in the I can't talk. I cannot talk today. Eschatological context. It's preceding the Dajjal. Some interpretations link the red heifer's appearance to the Dajjal's emergence. It serves as a sign of the impending end times and divine judgment. So sit there and think about that. This other faith needs this red heifer as a sacrifice for whatever. Maybe I'll talk about that in the next episode of Somewhat Supernatural, just to give it a little, we can see back and forth the parallels from Islam and Judaism. That'd be kind of good. Oh, yeah. So we're going to go ahead and conclude this dive into the Dajjal's narrative. And I invite you to reflect on the significance of apocalyptic prophecies and their impact on religious belief and practice. How do these narratives shape our understanding of the supernatural and our place in the world? Just remember, spiritual preparedness. It's very important to remain vigilant and steadfast in your faith if you are a believer. If you are a believer. Like I said, me, not so much. I believe in all things. All things are possible. The encouragement to seek knowledge and understanding of eschatological teachings, that fucking word. Community resilience. There's emphasis on communal support and solidarity in facing adversity, where we will win in numbers. Opportunities for dialogue and reflection on shared beliefs and values. So, like I said, it's just mind-boggling that there's, and I'm sure I could get online and look up even more versions of what we know as the Antichrist, the world ender, the one that's going to be passing out judgment. And I saw this. I keep seeing these TikToks. My algorithm is all whacked. It used to be nothing but, big boob girls in bikinis. And now it's all these crazy things that I love listening to. But this one guy came up with a theory that what if the Christian God is Loki? And he goes into this really, really deep dive of how Loki slayed all the other gods, but not Balder, because if he killed Balder, it would ring in Ragnarok. He wouldn't have anybody to fight with him because he killed everybody. So then he started talking about how the Bible states that there are other gods. There were other gods. But our God that we know said, oh, there is no other God above me. But what about the gods that are below him? Right? So then he started talking about how the four horsemen of the apocalypse He starts naming their attributes. And what it is it's not what we perceive, because there's really they don't name them. They don't name them in the Bible. They're not named. They aren't. We just perceived them that way and started calling them death and famine and all these other things. And so they start describing, the pale horse and, thunderous voice and this and that. And he's like, that's Zeus. Or no, yeah. And then war would come in and cause war and this and that. That's Ares. And then he goes on and on describing these other Greek gods, because if you think about it, if Loki did this, and now we're getting off topic, but whatever. If Loki did do this and finally was like, hey, I'm number one. Yeah, let's do this. The world's going to believe in me. He did it without realizing that there was other gods. And so he's making us believe that the end of days, when death shows up and this and that, they're not coming for us. They're coming for him. But he wants us to fight for him. Because why? Because he don't have backup no more. He doesn't have backup anymore because he killed everybody but Balder. Think about it. Join me next time as we continue our exploration of the supernatural and delve into other mysteries that lie beyond the veil of the unknown. Until then, this is Lord Scupacabra signing off. Stay curious.